Summary of Breakthrough Business Negotiation. A Toolbox for Managers. By Michael Watkins. Basic Principles of Breakthrough Negotiations. 7 basic concepts apply in all negotiations. Adapt them to fit your needs. 1. Every negotiation has a structure. Even complex negotiations can be broken down into major elements and interaction patterns. Analyze more complex bargaining as a linked series of straightforward negotiations. 2. A negotiation structure shapes your strategy. Consider context when selecting an appropriate negotiating style. Don't use a single approach. Resolving disputes, making deals, or conducting multi-party negotiations each require different methods. 3. Shape the structure yourself. You can modify the structure that will affect your strategy. For example, influence with whom you will negotiate and what agenda you will follow. Strategic steps you take before you sit down, and even after negotiation starts, can affect the outcome. 4. Power comes from controlling the process. Act early to influence the proceedings, such as by adjusting the agenda, the flow and timing of information, and who participates. Even the order in which issues are addressed can make a difference. 5. Channel the way the negotiation flows. Know the typical process in different types of negotiations. For example, intense interaction is usually followed by a lull before intense activity resumes. Being aware of such patterns can help you break through log jams, for instance, by knowing when to offer a new formula or compromise. 6. Learn all you can about the situation. Determine what the other parties want and need. Continue to absorb information as you negotiate. Create networks of contacts. Being well-informed alerts you to threats and opens opportunities. 7. See yourself as a leader. Don't be a passive go-between. Perceive yourself as leading, from the middle, as being able to affect other people's points of view and, therefore, being better positioned to influence the negotiation's outcome. The negotiator's 4 foundational tasks. In any negotiation, pay attention to face-to-face dialogue and to events away from the negotiating table. Time away from the table is an opportunity to analyze, reflect, plan and set or reset your goals. Plan to accomplish these for negotiating steps. 1. Diagnose the situation. Analyze the components of the negotiation structure. Develop working hypotheses about what the other parties want and what alternative outcomes might be possible. Test and refine these hypotheses as you negotiate. 2. Shape the structure. Endeavor to influence what the issues are and who participates in the process. As much as possible, set the agenda and the stakes of the negotiation. 3. Manage the process. Prepare yourself and plan ahead. Know how you are going to try to influence the other party's perceptions of the available range of options. 4. Assess the results, set goals and from time to time assess how you are progressing in reaching them. As necessary, make corrections mid-course to stay on track. As the negotiation progresses, move back and forth among these 4 tasks. Approach any negotiation with a flexible, open mind, ready to adapt and adjust. Making a good diagnosis. Any diagnosis needs to be complete and comprehensive. Essentially, you will understand fully what is happening if you examine 7 structural components of the negotiation. As the proceedings continue, note when these elements change. 1. The parties, who is participating and who else could participate. Identify all of the current or potential players. If more than 2 parties are involved, analyze what coalitions or alliances exist now or might develop. Who is on the other side? Don't regard any organization as a monolith. Consider the relative roles and power positions of each of the different people representing that group. Create a party map, sketching out who is or might be involved. 2. The rules. What rules will shape the negotiation? Consider relevant laws, regular tie-ins, social conventions, professional codes of conduct or other possibilities. 3. The issues. What agenda or list of issues will you face? Could any others crop up? Understand that the agenda is not necessarily fixed. You, or some other party, might act to shape or change it. Identify all the issues that might be separated, such as splitting job title and responsibilities in a job compensation negotiation. Might relationships become an issue to negotiate? In a business deal, pre-existing antagonisms might not be an issue, but prior relationship problems might have an impact on a dispute negotiation. 4. The interests. What goals do the different parties have? As you identify their different interests, consider ways to create value, perhaps by increasing the size of the pie. Methods for creating value include finding shared interests, suggesting mutually beneficial trades, and reducing vulnerability when people don't fully trust each other. 5. The alternatives. What is your bottom line if you can't agree? To answer this, work out your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, or BATNA. This is the option open to you if you can't reach a settlement, such as going to court, leaving your job, or going on strike. The other side will have a BATNA, too. In determining your BATNA, consider your minimum requirements before you walk away, the advantages of doing nothing or delaying, and the possibilities of forming coalitions that might strengthen your alternatives. 6. The agreements. What potential agreement might be acceptable to all parties? Such agreements comprise the bargaining range, the area where a potential agreement exists. Outside this range are the walkaway positions. Not reaching an agreement may be better than getting a bad deal. Don't think you must achieve an agreement for the sake of success. Understanding your BATNA and the other party's probable BATNA will lead to better results because you will have a clearer assessment of what you are willing to give up and what the other side is willing to accept. 7. Any linkages. Do current negotiations have any links to other negotiations? If so, map them out and note if they are competitively or reciprocally linked. After completing your diagnosis, identify any barriers to an agreement or any opportunities to shape the negotiations favorably. Barriers might include having the wrong parties or too many parties at the table. If you can include your supporters and exclude any adversaries from the negotiating process, you will start from a position of strength. Shaping the structure. To shape the structure of the negotiations and to influence the way the process develops, think of yourself as an architect who is molding the elements of the negotiation into a favorable design. To accomplish this, change the players by adding or eliminating participants. Build up your BATNA by improving your alternatives, weakening your opponents. Alternatives or both. Set the agenda by adding issues, dropping or delaying the consideration of other issues, and changing the order in which these issues are addressed. Frame and reframe the issues by influencing how other parties view them. Control access to information by influencing who learns what and when. Force or delay action, i.e., set deadlines or muster other kinds of time pressure to force the other party to make choices now. Develop a sequencing plan. Determine in what order you will interact with other parties and make decisions. Managing the process. Your moves depend on your situation. By strategically deciding where to influence the negotiations, you can adjust the structure and better manage the process, which is particularly important in complex situations. To start, delineate the 3 stages of the negotiation through a macro-flow lens, that is, by looking at the broad picture. Notice these phases. Diagnostic phase, the parties examine the alternatives to negotiation and the benefits of negotiation. They gather information to determine whether and how to approach the negotiating, and they may exchange exploratory dialogue. Formula phase, the parties seek the fundamental principles and exchanges that will provide an overall framework for reaching an agreement. Detailed bargaining phase, the parties negotiate specific terms of agreement. Next, close down your lens, take a narrower look at specific, minute-by-minute interactions. Using this micro-interaction lens, view particular patterns and dynamics. Be sensitive to initial exchanges. Shape them favorably to increase the chances of reaching an agreement. To create a better negotiating environment, try to establish a good rapport and a feeling of mutual respect early in the proceedings. Be aware of tipping points or critical thresholds when a small movement in one direction can lead to a major shift in response, a kind of last straw on the camel's back effect. Recognize vicious and virtuous cycles which occur when interaction patterns, once established, begin to repeat. For example, a sense of distrust can generate responses which promote more distrust, the vicious cycle, or, conversely, warm feelings can provoke actions that generate more rapport, the virtuous cycle. Using your mental process lens, pay attention to the mental states of the negotiating parties. Consider motivational drives, aspirations and emotions. Plan your strategy and govern your interactions based on these three views of the process. For example, test your hypotheses about your opponent's interests and concerns by asking a series of questions about priorities. Is the response consistent or contradictory? Strategically choose your tactics, such as deciding what information to share. Create a tactical plan mapping out how you hope the negotiations will proceed. Assessing the outcome. During the negotiation, periodically ask yourself how things are going. Doing this during a break is natural, but assessing your progress during sessions adds perspective. Ask if you are meeting your specific goals. Step back mentally from the process and consider each of the negotiation's previous tasks. How well have you diagnosed the situation, shaped the structure and managed the process? Use your insights as a continuing guide to revise your understanding and shape your actions as you continue to negotiate. Tools that improve your strategy. As you negotiate, draw upon your negotiation toolbox to deal with anticipated challenges, such as power imbalances, building coalitions, handling conflicts, representing those who are not present, leading teams and negotiating in a crisis situation. Learning specific techniques to deal with these issues equips you to respond strongly when negotiation problems arise.